everybody has heard one side of the story when it comes to a day of atonement. But rather this Sunday in Bristol, Connecticut, it's going to be our guest that's going to have his own day of atonement, and he's going to tell the world why he's been embarrassed and why these last several months and what he's had to go through. It's been his own private Idaho, and he's going to tell the world why a guy that might have been a legendary figure in the past is not the present, and he's certainly not the future. We're going to talk about that with our guest. We're going to talk about how the tables are going to be turned, and sure, our guest said plenty about not needing 3 falls and guaranteeing a victory and going on and being a Triple Crown winner and calling himself a granddaddy, but he'll be a granddaddy, especially after what our guest does to him this coming Sunday. Yeah, everybody's saying, are you ready for some football? But I am ready, and I think you'll be ready out there for some TF Crew Day of Atonement. And ironically enough, Bristol, Connecticut, which is home to the worldwide leader of sports, and we've got the guy here right now who arguably is the worldwide underground leader in wrestling. Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about maybe how these guys have been in the ring on multiple occasions and still haven't touched. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about maybe a syndicate and a few syndicate members, and I'll touch upon that. And I'll also touch upon the fact that what Saturday's guest said, that nobody respected our champion. Yeah, something tells me that the champ is here and he is going to vehemently disagree with all of that. Plus, he may even have to respond to what Castor said here last Friday. And maybe we'll even talk about a Broadway Joe and a pure Vanguard reference or two. And you know Gabe Sayers will be mentioned, but not in the way that he's usually mentioned, because our guest has got plenty to say about that. But, you know, since we are in the true presence of greatness, Castor might have said we had to stand up for greatness. Ladies and gentlemen, this is maybe the greatest underground champion of our generation, because now not one, but over 2 years, he's remained on top as the TF Crew World YouTube Champion, and on top of that, has not even been pinned in the TF Crew. And maybe that's why last month, the Boys and Girls Club, they certainly got it. But I can assure you after this, we'll all be certainly giving a bow to greatness, because our leader is here. And ladies and gentlemen, in the famous words of Def Leppard frontman Joe Elliott, let's get rock, baby, because I see the chat is here. Our guest, who has had to wait a long time to come back to a platform he helped build. Not Rad Dad, he helped build. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this show off here in style on Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station where all music and wrestling matters. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sports Report, #1 Gavel Sports Show. The man that is the worldwide underground leader in all of wrestling. For over 2 years, he's been the reigning, defending TF Crew World YouTube Champion, where he has still never been pinned. He is the leader of the Syndicate, the premier group in all of Connecticut wrestling. His name is simply put, the Puerto Rican angel say.
Oh, I don't like that. Let's not do that. Nope. All about the you, baby. This is trash. How long do I have to hear this shit?
Santiago! The champ is here, my friend. How are we doing?
Oof. You made me a little bit sick, nauseous, and not feeling so good after you just did that FSU chop.
Yeah, I know
We
you're
are
Miami.
not
I
FSU
get
running
that.
this house. I am a proud graduate of the U.
I realize that, but Rhino sat through it and Savio Vega sat through it.
I'm sure they did.
They liked it. I
What college
understand
did they go
where
to?
you're coming from.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they went to college. Well, Rhino did. I know. Yeah,
Imagine that. You're telling me Rhino didn't go to college? Huh.
Rhino did. I think he did for like 1 year. Savio Vega did not. That I know.
Oh,
for sure.
wow.
Yeah.
And they're so well spoken of individuals. I'm shocked.
Well, you know what? You're gonna get there too. So you're already well spoken. You've done films. You've done all over the place, and that's why you are the reigning, defending TF Crew World YouTube Champion. This has been a moment for a long time. We've been waiting for you to return to Sportswire Radio. I'm going to cut to the chase because Angel Santiago, for those that are listening and watching here in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that you and certainly the TF Crew helped build, I'm going to give you now the floor and tell the world why Rad Dad is got it all wrong coming up this Sunday, Day of Atonement, main event for your YouTube championship.
What does he have wrong? Well, let's do a little back and forth here. Let's make this a conversation.
Okay.
You list down the list of things that he says about me, and I'll just wipe him off the list every single time.
Okay, he said twice. He said it twice now. He was here twice in 3 months, literally, that when it came to January, you didn't beat him. You didn't beat him.
Oh, interesting query. Want a Sprite Cranberry? Because I'm the one who has the TF Crew World.
I did bring that up. No, I did. No, I did say it. He even said, Tom, you played devil's advocate, and I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. So he feels that he had the upper hand. He also talked about the fact that he wanted 5 more minutes, and you walked out. Now let's talk about that.
Interesting. Who played the Eagles in the Super Bowl last year?
The Kansas City Chiefs.
Do you think they would have wanted 5 more minutes at the end of that game?
Hell no. No.
You don't think that they could have used a little more time? What about when Malcolm Butler picked off the ball at the 1-yard line? Do you think the Seahawks would have wanted 5 more minutes?
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe, but
probably.
In that case, the Chiefs were this past year. They needed like 55 more minutes.
Right. Good point. What about what about any of the teams that the Patriots beat in the Super Bowl that were really, really close margins? What about the Falcons? Do you think they would have wanted 5 more minutes in overtime?
The Falcons pretty much, they were spotted a 25-point lead. We know how that went. I mean, listen, Marshawn.
They wanted 5 more minutes at the end of that just so that they could get another touchdown.
I think they would have wanted the game to have stopped in the middle of the third quarter, but yeah,
I agree with that. Believe me, we've all been there.
Yeah.
They would have wanted 5 more minutes. So it just seems like losers always like to point at the fact that when the time goes down, if I just had 5 more minutes. You can't make predictions off things that haven't happened. There wasn't 5 more minutes.
He was convinced.
Again, let's not forget. Again, where we all want to talk about how, I was confronted with this opportunity for 5 more minutes. Do you know whose big behind came out of the curtain right after that match? Grim.
Yep.
And Grim walks this behind down
I
with
have
the
the
food in the
footage.
fridge
Yeah, I have it.
briefcase, ready to make it a triple threat. Now, Tom, tell me, what would have happened had he cashed in on a triple world title match and pinned Rad Dad?
Well, Rad Dad would have lost his GBYWN championship, and then at the time he was the GTS legendary YouTube champion.
Right.
He would have lost those two championships. Yes, he would have
And
lost
who
those.
else would have lost their championship had it been a triple threat?
Well, you had the TF Crew YouTube championship at the time, but Grim
Right.
had it. Yep.
So if he cashes in his briefcase in that moment, I say, yeah, let's do it. 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
And Grim's standing right there. He hits me behind with the briefcase, hits Rad Dad in the face, cashes in, and I lose this to Grim. And it's funny because that's almost what happened to Rad Dad, except Grim backed off. Had Grim had me just beating on Rad Dad again, he could have just waltzed in the ring and cashed that in. That wasn't even in my playbook of thinking before going into that match.
Well, listen, I mean, I said close but no cigar, and well, that's what happened. So Rad could say that you didn't win, but he didn't win either. I mean,
No.
I said, and what's your thoughts? I think Rad had lost more than anybody else because he talked about on here just days before this match that he wanted his place in history. He had talked about he wanted to be this guy to be the greatest underground champion of all time. He wanted to have the 3 major championships at that moment, which was your championship, the GBYWN World Championship, and when he held the GTS Legendary YouTube Championship. He wanted that. He talked about his place in history. He had talked about being finally a major singles champion, and then to have of this sort to unite and unify these championships, but he didn't do it. He didn't get the job done.
At the end of the day, what happened there was exactly what should have happened. Because yes, maybe we tied that day. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm happy that I tied. I'm not going to say that. But I'm telling you what went into the logic behind me saying I didn't want to do 5 more minutes. I'm also telling you right now, at the end of all of that, right now, who is the real winner of that match? Who really went on to go be on a wrestling show with Kurt Angle and Kevin Nash? Who then went on to debut in Juggalo Championship Wrestling? Who is still the champion that they walked into that show with? And again, I don't see Rad Dad putting his belt up right now, his GBYWN Championship, and I don't see where the GTS Legendary belt is. But
he's not even in GTS anymore. How about that? He's no longer a part of GTS. We saw what happened there at SummerSlam.
Do you see how this guy is a fraud? How he fakes being this, I'm such a hero for everybody, yet he abandoned GTS. And for Christ's sake, Tom, you tell me, have you seen the last time, or do you know when the next time is that he'll be defending his GBYWN championship?
I wouldn't be able to give you that answer.
Me neither. But you know when I'm defending this next.
I actually this coming Sunday, which I'm
exactly.
I'm a sponsor.
So there you go. Yeah. I have been here for 2+ years. I have never abandoned the TF Crew, and I never will.
And listen, and that's why we're gonna see what happens this Sunday. So I guess then you've been all over the place. We've seen what you've done in Florida. We've seen you in LTW. We've seen you certainly in Pure Vanguard Wrestling. You've got Broadway Joe now in your corner, a man that's got quite a resume in his own right, a man that's been around this sport a long time. So really what you're saying is that Rad Dad Bradley Belmont, that he maybe shouldn't show up this Sunday. Maybe that what he says about you having no respect in the locker room and that you're a guy that has brought dishonor to the TF Crew YouTube Championship and underground wrestling, all of that is a farce, and that the real fraud is Rad Dad Bradley Belmont, from what you're telling me right now.
Not only is he a fraud, but saying comments that just don't matter is his absolute bread and butter. He loves to say, oh, Angel's not respected in the locker room. Who gives a damn? Why do I care what these people think? Of course they're not going to like me. I'm more successful than they are. I'm more educated than they are. I'm richer than they are. I have nicer things than they have. I can do whatever I want when I want to do it. And these pudgy motherfuckers can't. So why would they like me?
And listen, in this sport, it's not about who loves you. It's not about the fans. It's about what you have right now. And that's one of the most prestigious prizes in this sport. And that's the TF Crew World YouTube Championship. You know, you said something not long ago, and I want you to explain this to the audience. You know, we've heard a lot from Rad here. He's been here a couple times since January, but you've went through a lot also, the embarrassment in your own private Idaho and dealing with the fact that you had to go through this draw. You've had to deal with over 7+ months of hearing about the fact Rad Dad wanted this rematch. And talk about that, what you've went through and dealing with, you know, you're almost having to go through your college graduation and all the other places, your film work and your other things you've done, your editing work and all this different stuff that you've done. And you've dealt with a lot mentally, the pain and suffering that you've dealt with from what Rad has put you through. Talk about that here for our audience.
Time with Rad Dad was, as I said in my most recent comments on my Instagram page, was one of the most traumatic things that ever happened to me. It put me in a space of constant discomfort in a time where I should be celebrating. I still haven't had a graduation party for myself where I invite all my family. I still haven't seen friends that I was super close with before that match. I got very close to failing out of college. I racked up parking tickets because I just didn't care. I did stupid things to make myself forget about what was really bothering me in that moment. And it was not only an insecurity in my own heart, but it made me question the very fabric of who I am. I didn't know who the Puerto Rican prince was. I didn't know who Angel was. I just knew that if I put my mind to something, I can succeed at it and keep going forward. And the fact that I was so sure, I was so confident, I manifested it. I dreamt it every night, me holding those 3 championships, defending them, being that guy. And to come out not damaged me in a way that I didn't realize. And I mean, like I said before, like I debuted for JCW and I felt numb. And I was at my college graduation and I felt numb. And I started a business here in Connecticut where I do social media work and I started getting clients. And
I saw the orthodontics video, and I wish I lived near Connecticut because I maybe should have went there than the what I just went through getting actually a new tooth. So yes, I spent $4,000 out of pocket. You and I certainly lived a high life. The rest of the audience probably can't say the same thing. So yeah,
amen.
Yeah, you know.
But running my own business, it's just, you know, unfortunately, unlike your tooth, was numb.
Well, I did feel that, but you know, there's something else, and I'm hearing you speak about what you went through, and tell me your thoughts, because obviously you've done a lot in a short amount of time. You've been in a lot of places, but this has been a topic in the past on this platform, and I'm curious what you think. It's been a minute since you've been here, but do you think that guys like Rad Dad, maybe they're trying to hang on and maybe not do the right thing in our sport and pass the torch to guys like you? Because, you know, we think about it, right? Rad was here and he was talking about, you know, I don't know how much time I have left. And he was talking about, you know, we're in the Datitude era and, you know, it's the granddaddy. And I'm listing all these accomplishments that he had. But really, isn't the time-honored tradition in our sport is to pass the torch to guys like you? Rad had his moment. Isn't Rad maybe taking away from what really you've done? Because the facts are, Angel Santiago, you're the guy that's grown the TF Crew. The TF Crew, look at where it was a few years ago when I first heard about the TF Crew over 2 years ago to where it is today. We're in venues. We've got hundreds of fans. We got music. We got Jimmy Controversy. We've had all these big names show up in and out. And maybe Rad Dad really is trying to hang on and not do the right thing and pass the torch to you. What is your thoughts on that?
I couldn't agree with you more. And the reason I feel that way is because I see it everywhere. Rad Dad is not the infection itself. He's just a symptom. He's a product. He's like pus coming out of a wound of our industry having these old, decrepit morons thinking that they can run an industry. Do you think that the indie scene right now is as good as it was in 2016?
You're asking me honestly? I mean,
Not even close.
no.
It's not even in the same stratosphere. But in 2016, you had young guys up and coming trying to get themselves to the next level.
Yeah,
Now,
well, and today's ironically, I believe today's the anniversary of the Indie Super Show, the first ever one. Is the
there you go.
7-year
And
anniversary.
you see the stark difference between now and then. Back then, people were like me. I'm trying to idolize that era of being able to take risks and do things and be an actual wrestler. Meanwhile, you have all these old heads who got left behind by the people who made it to the top trying to take the spot of younger people. And I'm not the only victim that has suffered from this disease. You have guys like Jack Martins who should be at the top, and they're getting pushed
He
down
just
by a bunch
wrestled.
of old
Well,
heads.
it's funny you said that. He just wrestled him at the East Rutherford Y over at Project X. Yeah, I'm aware of Jack Martins.
And he should be at the top of Jersey. He should be there. I should be at the top of Connecticut, no questions asked. Yet there are people who gatekeep me away from things. I will say this right here. There's not a single person who has brought me into their company who has not liked the product that I've actually produced for them. Who hasn't liked my promos, who didn't actually get views from my thing. Did you know that I'm the most viewed video on the Pro Wrestling Vanguard Reels? 7,000 views. I'm that guy. I'm the guy that comes in where everyone's getting 50 views a promo, 100 views a promo, and I come in and I get 1,000. That's
So
why.
Rad Dad's really, we got it all wrong. So really, we should be bowing down to Angel Santiago and recognizing what you've done. And Rad is just, he's living off the name. He's living off 2009, but we're in 2025, and it seems to me that all these things that Rad is saying and him being a hero and being this guy that people idolize and he's inspiring, it's not true. And that you know the real Rad Dad Radley Belmont. And that's not what we may see. You know a different side of Rad Dad Radley Belmont. And what you're telling me is that we got it all wrong and it's all a farce.
You tell me, who was the guy that was here first? Who was on Sportzwire first?
Angel
Me.
Santiago.
Me.
Santiago. Yep.
Who was the guy that I was at the first TF Crew event?
Angel Santiago.
Who's the guy who all of a sudden decided to come in, conveniently when we got into the PAPW venue?
Rad Dad Radley Belmont.
Oh, wow. Shocker, right? It's shocking to believe that somebody like Rad Dad would just go, oh, now that they're a real company, I'm going to try and go with them. No. I've watered this plant. I have fostered this animal. I have brought the TF Crew from a dirt poor organization to all the way at competing with actual Connecticut indies. We are running a venue this Sunday that other Connecticut indies have run, and we're going to outdraw them. We sold out the PAPW arena. The only other people who have done that is PAPW.
Yes. And we have the link up here. And yours truly is a contributor to the show because I have purchased a ticket. So I support every TF Crew show. And it seems to me then that you're the leader, Angel Santiago, and Rad Dad Radley Belmont's a follower. Rad Dad is just... he's riding your coattails. That's the facts. What I've learned here tonight, champ, is that Rad Dad Radley Belmont is trying to ride your coattails. Yeah. You're the guy that's led us to where we are coming up this Sunday, where we've been in the PAPW facility, having all these big names, these collaborations with LTW, GTS, you name a place, we've been there in the TF Crew. And you're the guy, and Rad Dad is just riding your coattails.
Not only that, but he's taking the spot of other people that should be facing me in the main event. There should be other people there with me. I should be facing LJ Walsh. I should be facing Mikey Anarchy. I should be facing Jeremy Lacroix. I should be facing somebody, Caster, Leonidas, some young person
Are
who's
you
actually
saying Rad Dad Bradley
talented.
wait a minute. Are you saying Rad Dad Bradley Belmont is holding down TF Crew roster members? Is that what you're saying here right now?
You tell me. I'm just telling you what's happening. I'm just telling you what's being shown. You can't see any of those guys in the main event now. Again, after this event, if the TF Crew does not run another event this year, my only challenger for my championship is the Rad Dad. He has taken up a fucking year of my time then over you being able to give it to any other person. I get the triple world title match. I get why it was important. Guess what? It didn't go his way. Move on. And I said that, and I've said that for the last few months. But now I'm going to prove something to myself. I'm going to prove to myself that the Puerto Rican Prince gets done what he says he's going to get done. And I'm going to regain myself as the Puerto Rican Prince. This Sunday, here's your scoop, Tom. I'm going to come out the most Puerto Rican Prince you've ever seen me ever. Back in the day, when I used to be in the yard, when I used to be that flamboyant dickhead, you're going to see that guy on Sunday. Fuck the MMA. Fuck the respect. Fuck the Taekwondo and the Kempo. I'm going to come out as the asshole, the Puerto Rican Prince, and show every single person why I run this shit. I drop my crown and I'm picking it up.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly a reason why you need to go to the TF Crew Eventbrite page and buy a ticket. You should be buying a ticket, even if you're not nearby in Bristol, Connecticut, at going to the Lincoln Room. Go out and buy a ticket anyway, like I have, because this is a show. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I have been excited for this show for a long time. We have been talking about this on Sportswire for weeks. Caster was here. Yeah, I'll get to him. Gabe Sayers was here. Yeah, I'll get to him. Jake Dvorak was here. He had a lot to say about this show. He was here. You know Rad Dad was here. Now we've got the man literally days before. He is going to put up his TF Crew World YouTube Championship, the Puerto Rican Prince, Angel Santiago, and he will be in action in that main event for the biggest show, I would dare say, in Connecticut wrestling history, not just in TF Crew history, but he'll be wrestling Rad Dad Bradley Belmont in a 2 out of 3 falls match here. And we'll get to the chat in a few minutes. You know, I want to talk to you about something. You know, Rad was also, and I'm sure you've heard, if not, I'll refresh your memory. Rad was going on and saying, you know, I'm not going to need that third fall. I'm going to get this done, and I'm going to get the first fall. You watch. He said, you know, Tom, you watch. I'm going to get that first fall, and then I'm going to get the second one as if it's no problem. You haven't even been pinned yet in the TF Crew, and yet Rad Dad Bradley Belmont is basically not only guaranteeing victory, but he's saying he's going to get this done and not even need a third fall. What's your thoughts on that?
You know what? I'll really sum it up simply for you.
Sure.
Who's the guy who is used to fighting in round format? Possibly an MMA
Angel
fighter.
Santiago, celebrity boxing.
Oh, that is shocking. So maybe, just possibly, is this another lie that Rad Dad is telling everyone? Is this another false promise that
now
Rad
he
Dad
claimed?
is
Now let me tell you what. Now I'm glad you brought that up because I was prepared for. Now he said that he has been training the best he has ever trained in his life. He's talked about DDP yoga. He's talked about the weight he's lost. He said that multiple times here on Sportswire. He said the condition he's in. He also brought up the fact when he wrestled you the first time, he had just been coming off a serious injury and he had been dealing with other things. Now he's at 100%. And he's in the best physical condition of his career and in his life practically. And that's what he says that he is going to use to prepare him for this kind of match. And that's why he feels that he's going to do what he said here on Sunday.
So let's start with like the start of what you said, because there was a lot there. First of all, DDP yoga. Do you know who's actually learned combinations from a DDP yoga instructor? Me, because I learned combinations from Bobby Fish while I was at Atomic Legacy Wrestling.
Yes.
So let's just get that out of the way. Second of
Okay.
all, the best shape he's ever been in. That's just not possible. He's old. He was in better shape when he was younger. You know why I know that? Because I can go back and watch his old backyard wrestling bullshit that he was doing while I am at his same age doing this. So let's not even get into the whole who's in better shape thing. First of all, I'm the guy who's in better shape. I'm the guy who's been training the hardest he's ever trained because I'm 22 years old. Hello. So not only do I have the age advantage, the athletic advantage on him, but Rad Dad is saying that he came off an injury.
Yep.
Watch that match back. Rewind it. There was no injury until I kicked his bitch ass off the top rope, going to the outside of the ring, and he hurt his arm. Not a me problem. He was not coming off of an injury. I injured him. And it's just so convenient, Tom. That's so funny. I'm actually thinking about it. Didn't Rad Dad lose the legendary title very shortly after facing me?
He did. He did.
Did I possibly cause an injury that made him lose his legendary championship?
You know, I hadn't thought of that. I mean, maybe he wanted to have a selective amnesia and not bring it up. I mean, he did talk about, I mean, I think he did bring it up in not this appearance, but the previous, but he was certainly very, very boastful of talking about other championships that he had won, but certainly not losing a championship he had when you saw him last in Connecticut in an in-ring competition one-on-one, which was in January. So, I mean, that's a point to be taken.
Yeah, maybe I aggravated an injury that made him completely have to change his game. Isn't it funny that he's been doing a lot more tag team stuff since facing me? Isn't that really interesting? Isn't it interesting he's been hiding behind Wade a little bit more? Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting he hasn't defended the GBYWN championship? All these things on top of each other are just showing you that he is just lying to himself.
So let me ask you a question. You said something interesting, and you bring up the GBYWN championship, and I'm not going to go into the semantics of that. That's a question that their organization, which is namely Sick Rick, and knows that they can maybe answer that at a different time. But you have been arguably far more of the fighting champion, because Rad has talked about, you know, the importance of the GBYWN championship, right? He talked about when he was here in previous episodes, the importance of the GTS legendary YouTube championship. When he was here, he was the GTS Intercontinental champion. Now he's got the Matt Pro Grand championship. Okay, that he defended. Okay, that's fine. But you have been champion here for over 2 years. You have defended that championship to whoever it's been in front of you. But yet, it seems as if Rad has not been the fighting champion, but rather Angel Santiago when it comes to the major championship. And Rad has talked about how much this championship means and how much that this championship to him would basically make and unify a Triple Crown Underground championship. But yet, Angel Santiago, you've been the guy these past 2 years, and I've known you for 2 years. You have been, every time you've been stipulated by Gabriel Sayers to defend your championship against people that you don't wrestle styles in. Obey, Mikey Anarchy. We can go down the list. I mean, Castro didn't even want to bring you up previously when you wrestled him.
In different states. In different states.
That's the definition of a fighting champion. But when it comes to a major championship that Rad has, that's a question mark.
I would say if you want to talk about the biggest championships that there are, this is one of them. This is bigger than the GBYWN championship now. This is not locked in a backyard in New Jersey. This championship moves around with me. This championship has represented us. This championship gave us an opportunity at Pure Vanguard Wrestling. Guys like myself and Gabe Sayers and Caster. And maybe more to come. So you tell me, Tom, what is truly the most important championship? Does it matter that Rad Dad has any of these other titles when this title has meant more in a shorter span of time than any championship that has come across it?
I would say my point to that would be that maybe the GBYWN championship mattered in the past. Maybe it mattered 10 years ago, but today, on September 1st, 2025 on Labor Day. It's the TF Crew World YouTube Championship is the championship that matters in the underground. And you know, Rad Dad's not putting up this time any of his 2 championships. What's your opinion on that? I mean, how do you feel about that?
I would love to fight for the Mat Pro Championship. I'd love to fight for the GBYWN Championship. It just seems that we have this rematch, but is it really a rematch if it's not under the same stipulations?
And you know, and that's a great point you brought up about the Mat Pro Grand Championship because, well, he's defending it on Friday against 30 Salad, and who really knows there? But that was a championship that he won by defeating Angel Santiago, a man from the state of Connecticut. You probably heard of him. His name's Darius Carter, a man that's number 150 on the PWI 500, a man that has wrestled up and down the tri-state area and year after year is one of the greatest wrestlers in our circuit. He defeated him, and I would think, right, you, Angel Santiago, also being from the state of Connecticut, representing the TF Crew, that maybe you would contractually want that shot at that Mat Pro Grand Championship, especially considering Rad beat it. He won that championship beating a man from your state.
Not only that, though, it's the problem is that this all gets out of my own hands. Is that all of a sudden Rad Dad wins a 6-man tag match and now only my belt is on the line. And then when I go to Gabe Sayers and I say, hey, this is a load of bullshit, he doesn't say anything about it. And then he goes, oh, but you need to defend this, and it needs to be in the main event. And not only that, it's going to be 2 out of 3 falls. What? How does that make any sense?
Are you saying that there's nepotism right now? Because we know the relationship between Rad Dad Radley Belmont and Gabriel Sayers. We know that those men have worked very closely in multiple locker rooms. Are you saying that maybe that they're working hand in hand and that that's a form of nepotism? Are you saying that here live for the first time, champ?
I'm saying that Gabe needs to stop looking a gift horse in the mouth. He needs to stop with this, oh, but if Rad Dad's the champion, then our company could be even bigger. Wrong. That's just not true. But he gets lost in this sauce because Rad Dad goes to him and he says, oh, I deserve another opportunity. And then Gabe listens to the idiot fans who pay their money to actually think that I'm going to lose. Well, here we are. When I beat Rad Dad this Sunday, and here we go. I'll just say it because I don't think I've said it simply. I am going to beat the shit out of Rad Dad on Sunday. I'm going to retain my championship on Sunday. You can rewind this back afterwards. I will win. I will dominate. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, certainly Angel Santiago has got a lot of reasons to be fiery tonight. He has heard plenty from Rad Dad the last few months here on this platform, and now it's his time. And really, as I stated, Rad Dad might want us to be in the Datitude era, but it's Angel Santiago that's going to have his Day of Atonement, and it's coming up here this Sunday, the TF Crew's latest show. And it's going to be one, I'm telling you, you won't want to miss. If you have a chance to get down there in Bristol, Connecticut, you know, they call Bristol, Connecticut the worldwide leader of sports. But I'll tell you what, Angel Santiago is the worldwide leader in underground wrestling. And he is the man right now. He has been the TF Crew World YouTube Champion for 2 years. And the TF Crew is going to sell a lot of tickets. And Angel Santiago is the guy. And that's why you want to go out there and support the TF Crew. Go follow Angel Santiago. You know, before I get to the chat, I want to ask you one more question about that. I want to go back to the fact that, you know, you and I were talking just before, and the TF Crew, we've seen this meteoric rise, right? I remember a couple years ago, you guys just got off the yard. You guys were still in the backyard. You were doing the parties, and, you know, sometimes you were in a schoolyard, you were in a barbecue, whatever it is. Great stuff, right? All great stuff. But yet now, right, we see the shiny posters. We have bands being played. We're selling hundreds of tickets. We've been in the place that Mario Mancini and Paul Roma have made a home. And, you know, all these big guys have come in and out of the TF Crew. But you don't seem to get that credit. You don't seem to get that praise because the last I checked, now I know I'm not good at a lot of things. I understand you didn't like my war chant. I get that. Miami graduate, FSU, I got that. I'm going to give you a pass on that. Fair play. But last I checked, usually when you look at a company and who's on top, it's the guy like you. When we look at when business is going up, and they should be the one that gets credit. The buck stops here with guys like you, because you've been the man for over 2 years to see the entire rise of the TF crew. Do you feel that you haven't gotten your due? Do you feel that rather what Rad says, it's really the other way around, and that the entire locker room should respect you and everybody should respect you in all of Connecticut, all of wrestling, because you're the man at the top?
Not only that I'm the man at the top, I have the prize. This wasn't a prize before I held it. There wasn't a million people vying for this title.
I'm aware.
You didn't know this thing existed before I came along. Not only that, you didn't know Caster existed before I beat him in 7 seconds.
Yeah, he didn't want me to show that footage, by the way.
Ooh, okay. You didn't know that Christopher Black existed before he was in my group. You didn't know the TF crew existed when Gabe Sayers was running it, but then when I became champion, you did. Nobody knew about any of these guys before they faced me. Nobody knew about Leonidas before he wrestled me. Nobody knew about Obey before I wrestled him. Christ, Mikey Anarchy was just a ghost name in Connecticut before he came and faced me.
Hey, Doc Holliday went through TF crew now, right? He's one of our champions, right? Doc, another guy that certainly, Father Time may have passed him, and yet he's another guy taking up a spot. We've seen him run through here. I mean, there's a whole hardcore, right? Another guy that ran through here. I mean, there's a long list of names that have come through the TF crew doors. And it's because of Angel Santiago, because you're the guy on top. The buck stops here with you.
No, I mean, the fact that you're naming all these people who we would not have a company if it wasn't for me holding this championship. People wouldn't want to come here.
Justin Abel, Sane, Kuma, Jeff Nova. How about the history there? We got Louis Jr., Louis Sr., obviously Gabe and Mikey are wrestling him. I mean, we can go up and down the list of people that have been here because Angel Santiago is the champ. You're the top draw. When we look at the gate, right, when TF Crew sells hundreds of tickets every time, hundreds of tickets, right? It's Angel Santiago who they're paying to see. You're the main event.
And I just want to thank you. I just want to thank you from the people that I gave careers to. I'm like the Steve Jobs of this shit. These people wouldn't have anything to aspire to in life. They couldn't even get into any other wrestling companies before TF Crew until I came along. And I was the first guy to do it in every space. I was the first guy on Vanguard. I was the first guy of the massive TF Crew guys, other than Gabe Sayers getting a thumb in his butt, that did any of these actual other companies. GTS, Venom, me.
Well, listen, Jake Dvorak has said here in the past that Gabe Sayers knew the right people. He got the right opportunities. But you were the guy, though, conversely, that wrestled in the state of Florida and put that championship on the line. You were the guy that got all that mainstream recognition months ago with celebrity boxing. You're the guy that's gone out there and wrestled in all these different, you talked about JCW. My friend Dave Jameson was down there with Daniel Tafua. I mean, that's a big deal. I talked about that here 2 months ago with those guys. I mean, you're the guy that got these opportunities before everybody else in the TF Crew did, Caster and, Christopher Black, although I'm going to get to him in a little bit, Kuma. And, now we talk about, again, guys like, Justin Abel Sane who've walked through the doors here. And, we can keep going down a list of people that have come through the TF Crew. And you're the man that was the leader. You were the leader. And Rad Dad came here because Angel Santiago, you were the one that laid the foundation to where the TF Crew is today. And Rad Dad Radley Belmont wouldn't have came here if Angel Santiago wasn't the champion, because you were the one that opened the doors. Rad went through the doors. Jungle Jim Wilder, he wouldn't have showed up here. He wouldn't have showed up here if it wasn't for Angel Santiago. I mean, I know he's in your group, but Jimmy Controversy would have never showed up. Never would have been here in the TF crew. He would have never been here if it wasn't for Angel Santiago opening door after door and putting the TF crew on his back. Just like Stone Cold Steve Austin did in the Attitude Era. Everybody looks at John Cena, the Ruthless Aggression Era. Well, maybe we should look at Angel Santiago for the TF crew era. For the TF crew era of greatness. Maybe we'll look at Angel Santiago in the same way. When we think about the Mount Rushmore in underground wrestling, you could put whoever you want up there, but maybe Angel Santiago's got to have that first spot because of what Angel Santiago has done for wrestler after wrestler, and that's why we're here. Maybe Angel Santiago, if it wasn't for you, Rhino and Savio Vega wouldn't have came to Sportswire Radio for all we know.
I mean, how could I make a comment after a glaze like that? I mean, that was, I mean, you're 100% right, but here's even the question that I'll pose after all that, because there was so much you said there.
Well,
did I stop anybody from coming along with me? Did I stop any of the TF crew guys from getting into GTS, Venom, Sportswire Radio? Did I stop
LTW, Pure Vanguard, the Boys and Girls Club Show?
Name it. I brought people along with me. Meanwhile, Rad Dad is suppressing all of the people I have brought with me. And
hey, Doc Holliday's been following those coattails too, right? We see Doc Holliday now. He's been a staple in the TF crew. Another guy that some would say certainly, I mean, have opinions on. Ask Jake Dvorak about that.
I would say that Doc Holliday is an oracle of time. I think he's been around longer than any of us have been. He's
except
a fascinating,
Rad.
Fascinating creature. Yeah.
Oh, I'm aware. And your friend LJ Wash is going to maybe wash him to see Doc Holliday.
Yeah, I am terrified for LJ. Doc and I stay on our separate sides of the locker room.
Yeah, Doc Holliday, I wouldn't want to get him angry either. Yeah.
No, I'm all set on that front. He can stay on his side. But I will say, Doc knows something that no other person does besides me. And that is Rad Dad is not the person that he portrays to be. Rad Dad and Doc have been around each other longer than I've even been alive.
15 years. We're talking about 15 plus years they know each other.
Probably longer than that. And the fact that Doc knows that Rad is not the person that he says he is proves my point more than anything. That Rad Dad is a fake, phony wannabe who is riding my coattails of this TF crew title run. He is not going to be the Kevin Nash tasing me in the neck of my Goldberg. He is not going to be the old guy that's going to try and steal the glory of the person who has built this brick from brick, body by body. I have gone through more challenges in life than Rad Dad could even dream of in my only 22 years with this belt. I was stabbed in the face by Obey. I did the first
I remember that. Yeah.
I did the first ever dog collar match with Mikey Anarchy. I fought Jeff Nova. I have the quickest match in TF Crew history against Caster. I have done everything for this company.
Well, I mean, we're going to find out, and I guess then you're going to expose the world who the real Rad Dad is this Sunday, just to make that clear.
Expose the shit out of him, and I'm going to expose him in front of the same people who root for him, so that when people see him laying in the center of that mat, dead to count, dead to rights, that they know who the real champion is. And then I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this right here on Sport. I'm about to go on the greatest tear of any wrestler ever. I'm about to go on a tear like no one has ever seen. September 13th, I'm announcing it right now. My God, I was wrong.
September 27th?
September 27th, because I told you that before.
No, I knew it, actually, because we had Pure Vanguard wrestling coverage. We made an announcement when Rad was here, actually.
There you go. I need Tom around more to help me with my quips.
Well, you got the syndicate. Don't you worry, though.
That's true. I have Jimmy, and he's a wordsmith.
He did give me a word of recommendation with Mickey Knuckles, so I have to say Jimmy's okay, actually.
Yeah, no, I love Jimmy. That's why he's around, because of me.
I'm about to
go on the greatest tear that anyone's ever seen. After TF Crew, I'm going to go and I'm going to head to Pure Vanguard Wrestling, and I'm catching a dub. And then I'm going to go back to to Pure Vanguard Wrestling, and I'm going to catch a dub. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to defend this belt again in an unannounced TF Crew event. Is there going to be one? I don't know, but I'm going to force there to be one because I'm taking over. There's no more me sitting on the bench and just having Gabe Sayers put contracts with money in front of me. I'm taking over. I'm showing people that this is the championship that matters. 2025 is my year, and I'm going to blow right into 2026 with the same energy.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Angel Santiago has come out swinging tonight, and maybe when we think of the TF Crew, it should be the house that Angel built. That's what I'm saying. I'm calling it right here. The way Angel Santiago has described things tonight, it's Angel Santiago who has built the TF Crew, and we think about the Mount Rushmore. It's Angel Santiago that should be there first, and when we think about Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Attitude Era. We think about the Rock and Wrestling Era with Hulk Hogan. We think about the Ruthless Aggression Era, John Cena. We think about most recently Roman Reigns here in this Bloodline Era. But maybe now, in the TF Crew Era, we're living in an Angel Santiago, Puerto Rican Prince, syndicate-run scene, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're calling it here. And let's get to the chat because a lot of people want to talk to Angel Santiago.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Yeah, they do. And I got some things for you I got to give you, and you've been here enough. I want to say hello to Aaron Blaze, who would like to say hello. Thank you, Aaron, and I appreciate you very much for tuning in. And our friends in Christian Backyard Wrestling want to say hello. And a man that's going to be on the card with you coming up this Sunday, and Mr. Jake Dvorak, the
I love
unholy
this guy.
Yeah, he's
this guy.
Another guy that's, by the way, all over the place. Tournament of Death, CZW, and I just saw him in Pennsylvania, and now I'm seeing him coming up in Connecticut, and an elimination match.
There's nothing that brightens my day more than seeing Jake Dvorak in a locker room.
Well, he's unholy, and he. Certainly, though, will be in a ring, though, with Jimmy Controversy, but I'll give you a pass on that and not bring up who do you think wins. But, yes, we're having a good day. Who else we got here in the chat? Zilla would like to say hello. Thank you, Zilla, for tuning in. Also, hello. Hello to Jake. Who else we have here? Yes, I want to say hello to Princess Jade, who's tuned in. Hello. And speaking of people that I know don't like you very much, Caster. We are living in the life of Caster, who would like to say unfortunate stats about what I've rattled off here earlier in the conversation. Now, Caster, was upset about what happened between you and him at Pure Vanguard Wrestling with Broadway Joe, and
Can you blame me? He lost.
He felt that it wasn't the right thing, and he felt eventually he'll get his get back on you, and he
get my get back on me.
That's what he said. He said that's what he said.
Oh, that's an incredible way of putting it. Okay.
Yes.
I haven't been allowed to face Caster in a while. That is because I gave him one of the worst concussions of his entire life in that 7-second match. Literally, there has to be specific medical forms that go along if we are to ever have a match again, because Gabe Sayers need to cover his liability for it. So let's not even bring Caster into the conversation. I gave him an opportunity at Vanguard. He got pinned. That's what happened at the end of the day.
So
and I walked out on him. I could have beat the Tito piss out of him in the middle of that ring. He should be thankful that I didn't do that for him.
So you think then that Leonidas is then going to beat him once and for all coming up this Sunday?
Ideally, the whole ring would implode on itself. Would be my absolute.
Well, I don't know if we could have a show after, because you're in the main event, so I don't know if I'd want that.
That's a fair point. If both guys can do a suplex to the outside of the ring onto the floor and just not get up, that would be beautiful.
Well, we'll find out. I see that we'll have to figure that one out, but I'm sure Caster will unfortunately maybe wait for next time.
Is it too late to make that match an exploding barbed wire death match?
You'd have to ask Gabe that question. I'm sure he's somewhere lurking. I'm sure he's somewhere lurking. And yes, thank you for that. I want to say hello to our friends in the state of Ohio who are watching us in the EWA, Hubie Jenkins, and would like to say hello from management. Thank you, management, for tuning in. Our friends in Ohio who've been good friends of ours. Hubie will be here next Tuesday. I want to say hello to Chase Wakefield, who just got married, by the way. Had the Chase
Oh,
Wakefield Wedding Invitational, and he got married and wrestled on the same day.
oh,
And apparently his new wife wanted it more than he did. He'll be here in a couple of weeks to talk about it. He would like to
nice.
say hello. Yes, please follow Angel on Instagram. You can see some more of his content and some more of the different things that he is saying. I want to say hello to Brent, who wants to say, I remember watching years ago Angel wrestle
Oh
on a
God,
show on the Frozen. That was a while ago.
that
This
was a
man is
while
money,
ago.
and I've only heard great things about this man. Hope nothing but the best for your career, dude. Well,
That's very nice. See, not everyone hates me. Like everyone likes to paint it out like I'm this bad guy.
well,
I'm just
I
a
mean,
good
I would
guy.
disagree with that because there was a moment that you had a lot of cheers and it was probably, more than almost anybody cheers wise has gotten because I actually have the footage here for you if you remember this because it just happened not too long ago and you remember seeing this?
Yeah. Oh my God, what a fun show! The most attended TF Crew show in history.
Yeah, I mean, it was what, 250, 500 people were there. I mean, that's a lot
Yeah,
of kids.
about 200 people were there. Yeah,
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 I mean, I
for sure.
a lot of people were there, but yet you got the cheers. You were the man. Listen, the buck stops with Angel. Listen, the fans there and the Boys and Girls Club, they recognize we're living in the Puerto Rican Prince, Angel Santiago syndicate era. We're realizing it. They realized it and they saw it firsthand, and that's why they gave you those cheers.
Amen. Amen.
Well, there you go. There you go. Okay. Yes. Hello. Thank you. Yep, hello to Chase. We'll say hello. And Zilla is bowing down to you tonight. So Zilla
Oh,
is bowing down to you. That's there you go. Who else we have here in the chat? Yes. Please, if you have a chance, go out and buy a ticket to the show. It's only $15. With $15, I mean, these days, listen, I just went out Angel Santiago here with two of my buddies. I went to brunch here in New York in almost Midtown Manhattan. And alone just for brunch, I spent like $30. You instead, with $30, can buy not one but two tickets to this show. And if you put a tip in, you can actually get the two tickets. And even if you want to sit front row, that's less than $30. You got to go out there. Please support the TF Crew. I'm telling you, the TF Crew shows are some of the very best around. It is wrestling that we need to support because this is how we support our wrestlers. Whether you like Angel Santiago or not, whether you like Jake Dvorak, whether you like Jimmy Controversy, Justin Abel Saint, whether you like LJ Wash, Doc Holliday, Leonidas, Caster, even Rad Dead Rally Bell, my friend Santiago, Christopher Black. I mean, a long list of talents. But please support them and support the TF Crew. Mikey Anarchy, Louis Sr., Louis Jr. Please buy a ticket. This is the way we support our wrestlers and we support our own. Let's do that. All of our guys here from the TF Crew have been so gracious to come on our platform and support us. Let's do the same and support them. Please buy a ticket. Then thank you. Yes, thank you. I want to say hello to yesterday's guest, the hit marker ATK. How you doing? Thank you so much for being here this week. Ox McCoy, your contingent on the other side of the country from the IMF, where Gabe Sayers showed up to. Who knows? Maybe Angel Santiago will show up there one day. But in the meantime, the hardcore champion of the IMF would like to say hello. Please give a sub to the TF Crew on YouTube. Please do that. Yes, please. I want to say hello to Nathaniel Rage. The devil is here. Rad Dad very contemptuous in his absence, though. Rad Dad very quiet tonight. Usually Rad would be here in the chat, but I want to say this because Caster has a comment. This guy takes all the credit for something that was a group effort. The TF Crew is a family, and we work hard daily. So people like Angel can come onto platforms like these and spew his propaganda. Wow. That's what Caster has to say, champ. What do you think?
oh, brother, this guy stinks. Oh my God, he never shuts the hell up. A team effort. It was a team effort. Okay. It was a team effort. That's awesome. It was a team effort, and that everyone who has a name in the company just happened to have wrestled me before they became a name, right? Isn't that just so convenient? It was a team effort. I'm sure it was a team effort there, Caster, for you. Because it took a team effort to be able to get
Now,
you in front
I
of
have
people
to,
today.
all right, I'm going to ask this question. I don't know if it's facetious, but now we know we're going to have a big house on Sunday. We're going to get a big
Yep.
gate. We're going to get a lot of fans. Now, usually, from what I know and having guys on, in our sport, that the wrestlers usually thank the champion. They thank the guy who's on top for the big house, the big draw. Now, are you expecting guys in the TF Crew locker room to come one by one and shake hands with you and thank you for the big house where we're going to draw hundreds of tickets, we're going to raise a lot of money? And are you expecting that Sunday evening, every wrestler one by one to shake your hand and thank you for the big house we're going to get this Sunday? What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, see, like, okay, a thank you would be great. A DM would be awesome. Touching me with their hands,
No good.
I'm all set. Yeah, I'm all set. I'll shake Dvorak's hand. Maybe, my team. Trying to think of it. Jeremy. I would shake Jeremy's hand. He's a good guy.
LJ Wash.
Yeah, I give LJ a good fist bump. I don't know where his hands have been.
Fist bump's a good one.
Yeah. I don't know where his hands have been. And I at this point am I feel like a mother. Like my kids are never going to say thank you to me on Mother's Day. Like I don't get a Mother's Day. I don't get a day. You know what I mean? Like I just have to be the mother of this league. And Gabe gets to be the fun dad who comes home with pizza, but I'm the one who's really in the kitchen cooking.
Well, I'm still another day or two away from eating pizza, so I'll remember that. Thank you for that explanation. Hubie has a soft spot for you, and we do as well. And he loves the TF Crew, in which a lot of people do. Some of the guys on his card actually know some of your guys, so he just gave you guys a sub. Yeah. This is great, which we appreciate that. Use that line. One of our guys say, "Let hell rain." Hello to Waylon Jacobs. Thank you very, very much. If you are here, please hit the sub button for us. Hit the sub button for the TF Crew. Although the money does go to Gabe, but really it's the one angel who's on top. So just saying. But the Puerto Rican Prince, no one will have a run like when I start my run. All right, you know what? I got that, but I know I have a few more things to get through with you. But you said a few things. You said about how you haven't yet had a day, you haven't had different things, but I do have a couple things for you. No, Rad Dad's not here tonight, although I'm kind of conspicuous in his absence. I would think Rad would be here to say a word or two. No one else is here to say anything, but I do have something for you. I'm going to share my screen because Angel Santiago, first of all, I got this for you. We're giving you this because you've surpassed 2 years as the TF Crew World YouTube Champion. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I have that for you. And I know your last podcast appearance you did elsewhere, they didn't do that, but that's okay. You're back home. You built this platform. The one podcast you went to, you didn't build that one. You built this one, Angel. So that's okay. So, you did build it. We have almost 1,600 subs. Thank you, Angel. We appreciate you. And congratulations. You're now in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. So put you in. So, after all, Rad got in again. So I got to put you in because after all, you're going to have a Hall of Fame match coming up this Sunday. So arguably, I have to do the honors. So congratulations there. And I'll give you the physical copies when we're off the air. And, we'll certainly talk about more of those things. But, okay, we're here with Angel Santiago. One more time, please hit the sub button for the TF Crew. Follow them on Instagram. Follow them on Facebook. Also, please go to their Eventbrite page. I will put the link up here in a few more minutes. And I would really appreciate that. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally, all music and wrestling. Okay, before I come back to Rad Dad, is there anything else that you want to promote outside of TF Crew that you think our audience should know? Or anything else? I know you did a few other things. We talked about that. LTS. I'm not going to bring up the result. We talked about Pure Vanguard. Anything else that you want to promote coming up that we should know about? I'm going to have a YouTube page. I'm going to put that up in a second.
All you got to know is that I'm going to win this Sunday, and then I'm going to Vanguard, and I'm taking over Pure Vanguard Wrestling. And then I'm going to force Gabe Sayers to stop being a cheap bastard and actually have another event this year so that we don't have to wait another 6 months. And again, will everyone thank me? No. But I'm still going to do it because I am a martyr for the TF Crew.
You know what? Okay, I want to come back to that because, Rad talked about how he was going to be defending this championship more often and doing all these things. But going back to that, you talked about the GBYWN championship and he didn't defend that. But, I'm curious on your thoughts because, you're going to be full 100%. You're going to be at full strength coming here this Sunday. But, Rad can talk about, like you said, the DDP yoga. Who really knows there? You could talk about the best shape of his life, but he's got a match in his own right on Friday. And he also talked about the fact that he's debuting this Saturday in ISPW. And I ask you, I mean, if Rad wants this match so much, shouldn't he give this his full attention? And really, him going into this on Sunday with what he has on the line, there's almost no way he's going to be able to walk away and do what he says. What's your thoughts on that?
So you're telling me he has a match Friday and Saturday?
No, Friday, yep. He's got Sturdy Sal. He's defending the Map Pro Grand Championship. We talked a lot about that. He also dropped on Sportswire. This coming Saturday, he's debuting at ISPW. We don't know what that's going to be. We don't know those details. But he dropped that, and then he's coming to you in Connecticut. So it would seem to me like he's up and down the tri-state area, and he's going to have Friday night, Saturday night, and then have to show up on a Sunday afternoon to you in the main event. And after all he said here on Sportswire time and time again, it just seems to me like he wouldn't have the focus. He's not going to be at 100%. And all the things he said here, I don't know how he's going to be able to do them. You're going to be in the ring this Sunday, and I'm curious, what do you think about all that?
I think it's hilarious that he says he wants to be the champion of a company when he can't even prioritize our booking over everyone else's. I'm not wrestling anywhere else this weekend. I won't be risking myself getting hurt on Friday. But what if he does? What if Rad Dad can't show up on Sunday? What happens then?
Well, I mean, we've already had a card subject to change on the TF Cruz Day of Atonement already. I mean, not to go down that road, but I mean.
But that's what will happen. The card will change. We have already had pre-sold tickets.
I'm one of them. I mean, I have actually one of those holders.
And we just talked about how this is, I mean, by far the most anticipated match on this card, no?
I want to tell you, this is one of the most anticipated matches of the entire year. Listen, I mean, to go down the road, this is a match I've been talking about even when you or Rad have not been here on Sports. I've been talking about wanting to talk this card and wanting to talk this match for over 4 months. I mean, really, this is a match that is highly anticipated. I think we're going to look back this year, and this is going to be one of the top matches. I don't care what circuit it is, underground, indie, I don't even know whatever you want to call it. This is how highly anticipated and how good this match is going to be. I mean, and I think that that's a point that you make, is that what if something happens to Rad and all this we talked about goes down the drain?
No, that's the problem, is he's not thinking. He's making all these promises. Let him get past Friday. Let him get past Saturday.
We got a tough test there with Sturdy Sal. Now, listen, objectively speaking, that's going to be a really tough test. I mean,
that's going to be a tough match.
Yeah.
That's a tough match.
He's won championships around. He's, been in there with some big time guys in the indie circuit. I mean, and they've got some history, a little bit, Rad and Sturdy Sal. And yeah, it's going to be no walk in the park for him. And then, like I said, the next day he announced he's going to be debuting at ISPW. I mean, that's, I don't know.
He really has to think to himself, is this worth it? Do I want to be another champion of a company? And most of all, the locker room really needs to think to themselves, do we want a guy as champion?
But he says that the locker room doesn't like you. But you say what?
I say they need to reform their perspective, because I'm not going to get hurt this weekend before my match.
Well, we're going to find out. I want to bring up one more name. I want to bring up one more name in particular. We talked about the Syndicate earlier, right? And there is something I'm curious about your thoughts on, and that is Christopher Black. Christopher Black, the Connecticut Crippler. Another guy you've talked about in the past, and you talked a little bit here tonight. And that's a guy I've been talking about for a long time. I got to tell you, this is a guy. We saw him and Rad touch a little bit in the 6-man tag. Rad talked about him. But the reason I'm asking you about him, not because he's a part of your group, the Syndicate, but because he won the Unhinged Rumble. And, is that a concern of yours that maybe down the road you and Christopher Black could go one-on-one? And, I mean, I know you say you're going to do what rather Rad said he's going to do here, but What is your opinions on that and Christopher Black and him winning the Unhinged Rumble, and any feelings on where that could go?
Concern? I have no concern. Christopher Black and I are boys. Christopher and I are family. We've been in. I mean, Christ, he won his first ever pro championship immediately after teaming with me. He became the TF Crew World Tag Team Champions. So, what does he have to complain about? I don't think that he has anything to do with the TF Crew World title right now.
Oh, I don't think he's complaining, but Rad brought up the fact that Christopher Black, that he could go and do bigger things without you. He talked about the fact that if Christopher Black had a mind of his own, that he would see that he's been in part of your group. Sure, he's had some success. He won the Rumble, but he'll eventually have a mind of his own, was basically what he was kind of implying last time. And we talked about it a little bit briefly when he was here Saturday night. I mean, you must have an opinion on that.
A mind of his own. Christopher Black has all his own ideas. He has his own style. He has his own attire that I picked out for him. He has his own everything. He gets to do whatever he wants. And what he does is he has the Khabib method. He goes, he wins the main event of our most recent event. He's going to sit on that championship opportunity because I play chess, not checkers. I was one step ahead. I knew if I put all my guys into that match, Jimmy, Christopher Black, Kobo, I knew if I put all those guys in that match, I knew what would happen. One of them would have to win.
Well, the math would favor you. Yeah, the math would favor you.
Right. So then, therefore, now I hold the number one spot to my own title. Isn't that genius? And Christopher Black is going to go do his Khabib and go home after that event, pray, and sleep, and train. And then, when he's about to go face Jeremy this Sunday, I will go to his house, I will knock on the door, I will tell him it's done training time, and he'll go, and he'll choke him out. Just like the Connecticut Crippler does.
Well, he is the Connecticut Crippler, and he is, other than yourself, he probably is maybe the only figure in our circuit that has a background where he's got a mixed martial arts background, he's got a boxing background, he's got an amateur wrestling background. He's truly, pound for pound, one of those. He's almost like our Kurt Angle. I mean, in terms of like what this guy can do inside and outside the ring. But Rad had brought that up, and and I just thought that was interesting to hear what you had to say on that, and if that was something in the back of your mind. Because let's say, as you say, you're going to take care of business, you're going to continue your run. Nobody's pinned you yet in the TF Crew as the world YouTube champion. Your run continues, fine. No question. Whenever the next show is, who really knows? But that's not in the back of your mind at all, that Christopher Black could challenge you. Let's say you continue on here. Not at all. Not a thought.
No, because I trust Christopher Black just like he's trusted me. Who do you think got him that spot in the Rumble? Who do you think got him his opportunity to be able to win in the main event of a TF Crew show? Who do you think pushed for that match to be the main event so that I know that another syndicate member can be a main eventer? Christopher Black wasn't a main eventer before he was in the syndicate, before he was under my wing, before he was my right-hand man. And now, Christopher Black can go and face for the Tomorrow's End Championship. He lost in that tournament, unfortunately, but he can cash in that opportunity on that championship. Christ, he could go back for the TF Crew World Tag titles. Right now, I have all my pieces on the board, but there's just one spot on this Monopoly board that I don't have. And that's Park Place, Brad Dad. I don't have.
Well, we're gonna certainly find that out. Let me ask you two more questions before we sign off here. First, I was talking about this with Rad. We touched upon Jimmy for a few minutes, but you and Christopher Black walked out on Jimmy after that 6-man tag. Jimmy, I mean, Jimmy's not really a group guy. Even Jake Dvorak and I were kind of talking about it. Jake didn't really say. He was like, "Oh, that's up to the syndicate." He was fine about it in terms of he's got to focus on him. And I had asked Jake this question, but the sergeant, the sarge, the murder sarge. I mean, he's a part of your group, but what are you expecting from him here? What he almost seems like he doesn't fit in with you guys. I gotta ask that question.
Jimmy and I have had a long, complicated relationship, all dating
Where? That's why I asked.
all dating back to me being one of his first members of the Army of Controversy. And
You've been in
me,
multiple companies together. You got a star-crossed history.
100%. And I will say this, at the end of the day, Jimmy's always taking care of me. Now, does that mean that when he's acting a fool in a match, that I'm going to sit there and take that? No, I expect greatness of everybody in the syndicate. If I didn't expect greatness out of everybody, I wouldn't be grabbing Kobo by the head when he's trying to speak for me. I wouldn't be walking out on Jimmy, and I wouldn't be pushing Christopher Black to being the winner of the TF Crew Unhinged Rumble. Jimmy needed that me to walk out on him, because if I'm always going to baby him and I'm going to take care of him, then what's the point? Again, in the reality of the situation is, Tom, what did that match do? It gave Rad Dad an opportunity for my title. I accepted that. I wanted to give Jimmy a learning opportunity over my own skin.
But you would have certainly have rathered the syndicate win that match, right? You would rather have had you guys win the match, and you wouldn't have to listen. If you guys had won, let's say, we wouldn't be talking about Rad Dad right now. Rad Dad, would probably be focused on, somewhere else. He'd be focused maybe in the state of New Jersey. He'd be focused maybe in the state of New York wrestling. But he's here in Connecticut, and he's here one more time for this. So you could say, well, maybe if Jimmy had got the job done a few months ago, you wouldn't even have to be here. You could have just been enjoying your Labor Day, having, a couple drinks, and enjoying enjoying something else rather than being here, and you instead are here talking about Rad Dad. So maybe if Jimmy had got the job done, this would not be what we're talking about. You wouldn't be here.
And don't get me wrong, I don't want to be here talking about Rad Dad. I want to be here talking to you about every other opportunity that I'm going to have. However, there's sometimes that a learning opportunity is the best thing that somebody needs. Because do you know what happens if you win this open death?
Yeah, you get a shot at the Tomorrow's End Championship.
You get an opportunity for a ladder match that is going to be for the equivalent of the Money in the Bank briefcase for TF Crew. Unnamed, obviously, because Gabe Sayers doesn't name anything.
Well, I mean, that's a part that I'm sure we'll leave at a different time, but
that's another chip on the board that I need to be able to collect. If I don't give Jimmy this learning opportunity, he does not go into this match on Sunday and go, oh my God, I lost. I really need to win. I really need to win. I really need to win. And then when Jimmy goes in there and wins on Sunday, he's going to go in and win that briefcase, and I'm going to hoard everything.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you this much, that I said when Dvorak was here, and I said when Castor was here, and even when Gabe was here, that Jimmy, even though I know the match has changed, but Jimmy has the most experience of anybody in there, and Jimmy should be favored. I mean, listen, Dvorak and Abel Sainer, obviously I know them very well, but Jimmy's got the experience. Jimmy's the guy that this is stuff he does for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that's kind of why you would definitely want him in this spot, and you would want him to get a victory. And, look, we'll have to see, figure that all out. And I'm sure that there'll be a time and place to talk about that. But listen, we've talked a lot tonight, and I want to give you the opportunity before we sign off. Do you have any final words for Rad Dad before this Sunday?
Oh, that's a good question. My message to Rad Dad would be this. Simply put, be prepared for a war on Sunday. Whatever matches you're going to have on Friday and Saturday are going to pale in comparison to the beating that I'm going to give you on Sunday. Because I'm not only going to beat you, I'm going to drag you into waters that you've never been before. I said it at the beginning of this podcast, and I'll say it one more time. The Puerto Rican prince that you experienced before was half of the man that you are going to experience on Sunday. I'm going to unleash every facet of my absolutely deranged personality. Because Rad Dad, when you go to bed, you don't go to bed as the Rad Dad. You go to bed as Radley. When I go to bed every night as the Puerto Rican prince. I wake up as the Puerto Rican prince. I live in this sick, twisted head every single day of my life. And I'm now just not going to tell him no anymore. I'm just going to let him rock. And the Puerto Rican prince that you're going to experience on Sunday is something that you've never experienced before.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, Rad Dad has talked about we're in the Datitude era. He's talked about he's going to be the granddaddy. He's going to be the triple granddaddy. He's going to be the Triple Crown champion. But before he gets there, Angel Santiago is saying, no. He's the man that's on top of the Mount Rushmore in the underground wrestling circuit. And you know what? Whether you like him or not, you can't argue with the facts. For over 2 years, Angel Santiago has remained on top. A lot has changed in the world in the last 2 years, but there's one thing that's remained the same, and that Angel Santiago has been the reigning defending TF Crew World YouTube champion. And on top of that, Angel Santiago has still not been pinned in the TF Crew. That isn't a major accomplishment. That is a significant milestone. And Angel Santiago, everybody, when we look back, they talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin leading the Attitude Era. They talk about John Cena with the Ruthless Aggression Era. They talk about Roman Reigns in the Bloodline Era. You want to throw Hulk Hogan in the Rock and Wrestling connection? But now it's Angel Santiago, who's here in the TF Crew, the Puerto Rican Prince. Angel Santiago Syndicate era. We're living in it, and he's going to continue that run. He's going to have his own Day of Atonement here coming up this Sunday. Doors open 2:30 p.m. Bell time's 3 o'clock. He's in the main event, and he's going to tell the world who the real Rad Dad Radley Belmont is. He's going to expose him in his words. We're going to find out. Please go out there, buy a ticket, follow the TF Crew. We're very excited about it, and we have had a lot of opportunities to talk about this the last few weeks, and we're very honored to have the champion on here. Champ, I want to give you the floor. I want to give you some closing words. Obviously, you've been very generous to be here on a Labor Day, and I thank you for the opportunity. You know, we did save the best for last. You were the main event. You know, we were the last guy to talk about. Everybody here, Gabe, Caster, Dvorak, Rad, and you're the guy we saved for last. So you're the champ, and we're the guy that recognizes you, and I give you the floor. So anything else you want to plug, share, say, take it away.
Show up this Sunday, Bristol, Connecticut. You're gonna see one of the greatest matches of the year. Thomas said it, I've said it. Rad Dad, you're a fraud, but you're gonna see who the real Puerto Rican prince is on Sunday.
I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, that's a reason why you want to go out there and you want to support the TF Crew, support Angel. He's also on Instagram. He's on Facebook. You can check him out on YouTube. He's got thousands of subscribers there, a lot of shorts, a lot of match footage. He put up his side of the story from Pure Vanguard Wrestling. He's got some other match footage out there. Just check it out. Please support him. Please support the TF Crew. Please support all the wrestlers here on the show. I want to take the time and for a break the fourth wall moment, thank all the wrestlers in the TF Crew for their support of the platform, coming on here time and time again over the years. We're very grateful for their support, and we're very honored that we could support the TF Crew and donate a ticket and be able to have that opportunity to support the TF Crew. So please do the same if you can, whether it's hitting a sub button, telling your friends, hitting a follow on Instagram, whatever it is. Please support the TF Crew, and we will have plenty of coverage after next Sunday. So please support the TF Crew. I can't stress enough about what Gabe did say to break the fourth wall, and that this is how we support our wrestlers. Live wrestling is the way to support our wrestlers. The way we keep getting them on Sportswire, the way we have a chance to keep talking about our companies is by buying a ticket and supporting them. So please, even if you're like me, not near the state of Connecticut, you can still donate, buy a ticket. I'm telling you, it'll be worth it. This is going to be one of the most highly anticipated shows, and Angel Santiago is in a match that I have been highly anticipating for months. So we've made it. My friend, thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a great night. I'm looking forward to watching the show, certainly when it goes on YouTube, and talking with you again here in a few weeks. And looking forward to it. Thank you so much. Congratulations, and all you've done for our sport and being here tonight. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you, brother.
All right, that is the Puerto Rican Prince, Angel Santiago, the reigning defending TF Crew World YouTube Champion. He'll be in action coming up here this Sunday in the main event of TF Crew's latest show, Day of Atonement. He'll be in the main event against Rad Dad Radley Bowman, a 2 out of 3 falls match with no time limit. No time limit. That means Rad Dad has nowhere to run. Nowhere to run, to quote Pure Vanguard Wrestling's October 11th show. Rad's got nowhere to run. We're going to be talking more about it. Please go to the TF Crew's Eventbrite page. Please follow Angel on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere else in between. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I'll be here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock with Van Hansen. You can check out more of that then. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number one Global Radio station, that is Sportswire Radio, where all music and wrestling matters. Thank you so much.